Here we go. We've got In the House, Anatomy of Abundance, Volume 2. We're going to be talking about that today. What does it mean? What is Anatomy of Abundance? What is this particular book all about? Who is it a perfect fit for? So as you're listening today and listening to what we have to share about the vision for the book and then how we can help you to become a published author, I want you to imagine yourself as that published author, how you yourself has chosen words that are going to help to transform somebody else's life. Because if you think about it, I'm sure you've read a book or two or maybe 50 that there's been something in that book that really caught your attention and has helped you to transform your life. So we're going to be talking about that, all of that today, and share with you how you can be part of it. Before we get started, I'm going to see if this works. Okay, I'm going to try my screen share and see if this works.
Yes, working. I love it.
Okay, I put that together last night on Canva, y'all. It was so easy and so much fun. But I wanted to share with you, just some of the marketing materials that we created last time. Did a book writing retreat as part of this process. So we're going to talk about all of that today, and I'm going to start just send it right on over to Patrina to get into it, and then she's going to talk about the book, the vision, and all of that stuff, and then I'll talk about the publishing aspect. My name is Linda Sunshine West, and I'm the founder at Action Takers Publishing. And so we are working hand in hand with Patrina to make this happen. So Patrina, send it over to you.
Absolutely. So before I forget, let me plug in my computer so we don't die. And then the second technical piece will be, Linda, if you can co-host me, because when I start talking about the framework, I'd like to have that be visual. Okay? Yeah. So first off, let's all just shake it out, and we're excited to be here. Get some energy flowing. Listen, I am so freaking excited about today, and let me tell you why really quick. First off, the intention for our time together, and I want to be very concise and very respectful because I know some of you are joining us during lunch breaks, but I just have to say that this is my first kind of creation or relaunch in almost a year. I've literally gave myself permission last year to press pause on business and creation and performance and all of it, production. And I just really took time to reconnect, realign, simplify my life, and get really clear about what the next season's messaging is before launching anything. And so I have all this energy running through my body because I finally got that hit about only 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago that it was time to birth the second book, time to launch season 6 of my Living Room Wisdom podcast, time to pick up building my community, and very specifically, time to give voice to women who freaking refuse to settle in their life, whether it's a relationship that they're settling in, financially that they're settling, business that they're settling, sexually they're settling. You name it. If there's any area of your life, maybe you're stifling or stagnating, your voice being heard, your story being heard, your creativity, whatever it is, if that's you, you're in the right place at the right time with the right people, because that is what this book essentially is all about. Okay, so this is going to be Anatomy of Abundance, the evolution of women who refuse to settle. So let's talk a little bit about who it is that we're looking for this book, and then I'll go deeper into what the Anatomy of Abundance framework is. Essentially, the framework is a way to live your life in a way that creates embodied abundance. That's complete alignment based on your core values, your beliefs, your desires, your boundaries. Okay, you picking up what I'm putting down? Yes, yes. Put something in the chat. Let me know you're following me. Yes, I see Sheila too dancing. Yes, girl. So essentially, this is a movement, right? Like there's so much going on in the world right now that we get to put our feet in the sand and say, you know what, no matter what chaos is going on around me, I personally refuse to settle. I'm going to live in my truth unapologetically and create life on my terms. So the Anatomy of Abundance framework is your guide for doing so. Okay. So actually, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to show you the framework right now because it just seems to make sense. Let's see. Let me get there, darlings. Oh, where did it go? See, this is what happens when you try to be all techy. Ah, sugar cookies. Okay, I might have to come back to that. Do I, don't I? Maybe I don't. Oh, here it is. Okay. Can I share this?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. And so I got too excited. This is what happens when I get too excited. All right. Share screen. Let me go back to Zoom. There we go. I thought I had it queued up. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's talk about the Anatomy of Abundance framework and how this works and what it can do for you in your life. So the idea of pure abundance is creating pure, which means untainted abundance. And abundance can mean whatever it means to you. For most people, it might apply to money and physical prosperity. But for me, abundance is mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and physically in my body, feeling abundant, feeling prosperous, feeling joyful, feeling free, essentially, right? But you get to define what that means for you. The key to the Anatomy of Abundance system is that you want to feel aligned, you want to feel free, and you want to feel apologetic in all of your decisions and all of your choices and how you live your life. You also want to be very clear and strong in your identity. You want to have a vision that's pulling you forward constantly, because I feel like if we get stagnant, that we're dying. We need to have something we're working and evolving to. And if you agree with that, put an evolve in the chat. Evolve, right? Sometimes we bump up against our old identities and it feels uncomfortable, but it's okay. It's Spirit's way of telling us that it's time to elevate. It's time to move into a new way of being. And I feel like that's the time we're in right now. If y'all are like me, sensitive at all, you felt this last full moon big. If you felt this last full moon big and had some huge awarenesses, put hell yes in the chat. Because it really felt like for me that overnight I woke up and just got this download of everything that I needed to do next, or everything I get to do next. And it just started flowing out of me. And so I was like, okay, I guess it's time to get back to work. So that's what happens when you have a vision. That's what happens when you're really rooted in your identity. But also what happens is we start to attract the people, the opportunities, and the money that's needed to create that life or that business or that relationship, okay? So with the Anatomy of Abundance, if you're not doing these steps, if you're not implementing intentionally these steps in your life, then you'll have a tendency to settle and play small, right? You'll have a tendency to be stuck in survival or old, unhealed trauma patterns. None of us want that, right? Another thing that'll happen is that you'll hide and stay invisible, right? So you'll want to be a speaker and you'll want to tell your story, but you won't do it for fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being accepted, fear of failing, right? Just all these fears that aren't even true. You'll want to write your story and become a published author, But again, fear. So you're constantly bumping up against yourself. So the Anatomy of Abundance framework helps you move through that. How do we do that? By really getting clear about who you are, your core values, your beliefs, your guiding principles, your identity, and then the roles and the responsibilities that you do and don't want to play in your life. The second step is that we identify. We identify the disempowering stories, beliefs, actions, frameworks, people that you have in your life that are keeping you stuck in that old identity. Step 3 is that we learn to treat ourselves as if we are the divine by practicing sacred self-care. And sacred self-care is impeccable self-care, radical self-care of yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, protecting that with everything you have and creating clear boundaries. So those are the higher law steps of the system, right? This is like planting the seeds, watering the seeds. That's the root of our being, and getting really back in alignment and really clear about that root, the truth of who we are. The next 3 steps are now building. So that's the above ground piece. So the D in the framework, step 4, is declare. Now that I'm redefining, now that I've reinvented, now that I'm committed to living in the truth, I need to now put everybody else around me on notice. Friends, families, coworkers, all of the above, right? Your clients, your audience, your target market. This is really who I am. And essentially training them, because up until that point, I kind of say you've been lying. Maybe you haven't been lying because you weren't conscious of it, but you haven't been fully aligned with your truth. The next step, step number 5, is organize. Once we've got that clarity, once we've declared it into the world and to ourselves, that's the most important part. Now we have to create systems, processes, the right people, and put those things in place to support the upliftment, elevation, and authenticity that we're looking to live now. And then the last step is move. Move into action with accountability and support. So this is how you create a life of embodied abundance. This is also how you create abundance in business, how you create abundance in relationship with yourself and others, and all of that. So what we do here with this anthology book is that we create a sacred container for you to come dive into those parts of yourself, to go through the framework yourself, push your edges in a space that is supportive, where we see you, we hear you, it's non-judgmental, and we want to help you really develop that voice, that message. And so the community is built in, the systems are built in, pretty much the bottom 3 steps of the framework are in place for you. And so you can look at this as an opportunity to dive into your personal development and step over that barrier that's been keeping you stuck in the old identity. So that was my condensed version of what it is that we're doing here. And so this really is a sacred invitation, but it's more than I can even put words to be honest. And fortunately, we have Sylvia on, who's one of our previous authors, that's going to share a little bit more in a few minutes about her experience, because what I created last year and what came out of it, the transformation that we saw, was mind-blowing. And everybody had different experiences. But just as an example, one of our authors, she'd come to one of my Pure Abundance retreats, she had been to a couple of masterminds, she did the book. When she did the book, she was in a space of recreation, but didn't really know what was next. She was in that tension space where she had outgrown the old identity, but didn't know what the new identity was. Are any of you guys in that space? If so, just drop a yes in the chat, right? I think a lot of us are in that space because the world is changing so fast. And so this container and her writing her chapter ushered in this new version of herself. After the book and after a mastermind that we offered not too long after the book, she ended up getting rid of her place, her and her mom packed up and decided to become digital nomads and start teaching other people how to become digital nomads. In order to do so, she had to release, she was working 3 jobs to try to make ends meet and to, like, you know, just doing all the things as we try to do as high achieving, high functioning women. And she let it all go. She let it all go to pursue what she really wanted, which was the freedom, which was the travel, which was being able to be location independent and still run her digital business. So that's just one of the many stories. We have another story of an author in the book who was speaking to how money is non-monogamous, and she herself was very fluid in her sexual identity. She went on to actually start taking male hormone and like make actual chemical changes in her body. And so if there's a space of clarity that's needed, whatever you need, whatever you're looking for, whether you know what it is or not, it'll be flushed out through doing a chapter in this book. That's what I can tell you. All right, so enough of that. There's many stories I could go through, and I'm in love with each of my authors. So of course I gush. But what's in it for you? Okay, I want to go through the types of people that we're looking for, but I don't want you to be married to what I'm about to say, because there's exceptions to every rule. And when I know, which is why I typically will sit and have a conversation with every potential author to see if they're a fit. It's an energetic fit. It's a story, you know, diversification in the stories. I'm looking for a lot of different things. But anyone who knows me, knows my work, or follows me, you know that I do everything in a very intimate setting. Never more than 10, 12, 15 people. And the reason is because when there's intimacy, into me, I see, right? And so I really want that for each and every one of you. This isn't just a book project. It's that you're going to be creating a legacy that you can go out and monetize, that you can position yourself as an expert, that you can use in any way that you want. Some of you might write a chapter just so that you can show your grandkids one day, right? And have some physical proof that I was here and that I made an impact, right? So whatever your reasoning is, this is an incredible opportunity. What's also in it for you is transformation. It can't help but happen through facing any type of resistance that you have and fleshing out that story, finding your voice, utilizing your voice, allowing yourself to be seen. Okay, so here we go. Again, don't get married to these. So some of the archetypes we're looking for would be a 6 or 7 figure female business owner who has done things on her own terms. So maybe she's breaking some social norms. Maybe she's a trans woman, who knows, whatever that situation looks like. But she's created a successful business financially, doing something that maybe other people said she couldn't do, or wasn't going to work, or wasn't the norm. That's one. Another archetype is a woman that's in some sort of a reinvention. It could be a spiritual awakening. It could be divorce, empty nesterhood. I actually have already been in conversation with someone who is a dear soul, dear friend, family for me, who is in a physical transformation from male to female, who I want to be a part of this book. So any kind of reinvention, right? Just completely stepping away from that old identity in a big way and stepping into a new identity. I definitely want those stories. Another potential applicant or archetype could be an outlier or a disruptor. It could be an activist, right? We have enough going on in this world that we have things to say, stances to take, systems to, what's the word? Systems to challenge, right? And so that's another archetype that would be a great fit for this book, okay? The former good girl or high achiever who's afraid to fail, A-type perfectionist, like always so in control of everything, so they think, and in reality, in control of nothing. And so that moment where you realize that and start to at least seek something different, right? One of the things about this book is that you don't have to be on the other side of the arc. I think it's actually even juicier if you're someone who's still in it, because then we're working through that together while we're working on your chapter. And then you have a point of reference. This is what I was experiencing and feeling before being a part of this book project. This was the process, and holy crap, my life looks completely different on the other side. And you will experience that. Also, financial liberators. So I would love to hear stories of people who maybe were incredible amounts of debt, who got out of that and recreated themselves financially. Maybe people who filed bankruptcy and started fresh and created something tremendous on the other side. So something very specific to finance. Someone who grew up dirt poor, sleeping on, rugs in Mexico or something, and then became multimillionaires. So the financial liberator is someone that has a specific story about money. That could be money mindset, but it also could be physical creation of money. With the last book, each of the steps had the higher law and the lower law, meaning mindset, spirituality, kind of the more ethereal parts of abundance. And then the lower law was the actual application, the data, the science behind what it is that we're speaking on. So while I'm still wanting to attract experts and what do you call it? Experts and specialists in certain areas, I'm also opening it up this time to people who just have that real life experience and that great story. So that's make it a little bit different than the last time. I'm also looking to call in the sacred rebel. So that's someone who maybe broke away from religion or some sort of a cult. I mean, that is a huge system to break away with, to break away from. So I would love to attract someone. I know quite a few people who have broken out of, I don't want to name any names, I don't want to offend anybody, but you understand what I'm saying. There are certain religious sectors or cultish type environments that control you, program you, and it takes a whole lot to get through those type of experiences and recreate your life in a different way. So that's someone I would love to have as part of the book. Also, the pleasure activist. The pleasure activist could be an educator. They could be someone who's living an alternative lifestyle, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's polyamory, or any of the spectrum of out of the box living, where you're living on your terms, you're prioritizing pleasure, and maybe even leading other people on that path. And then lastly, what I have here is spiritually gifted. So that's your psychics, your spiritual healers, your neurodivergents, things like that, things that people don't necessarily understand, but need to get insight into. So I'd love to have some of those contributors in the book as well. All right. And again, I don't want you to be married to those archetypes. I just want you to hopefully find a place where you see yourself and where you can insert your story and become a part of this incredible community. Okay, so what I'd like to do before bringing Sylvia up for a couple of minutes to share her experience is just on the practical side, tell you a little bit about what you're going to get. Linda is going to go deep into what you get as far as the author packages are concerned, but I just want to touch on a few things because this is what distinguishes working on an anthology with Linda and myself with working on an anthology with one of her other, what is it called? Book producers, I guess you call them. It's a little bit different. So with anyone who's a part of my book projects, I offer a weekly writing room. So whether you're a seasoned writer or a novice writer, you have that support, but most importantly, you have the space to show up every single week and either just write, right? Because I think the hardest thing for our type of woman is just to make the space to do it, right? But if you have a calendar appointment, you're like, oh, I need to be there at that time. Yes? Is it just me? Raise your hand in the comments. So I know Sheila too is cracking up. Yeah. It's like, if I put it on my calendar, it's going to happen. But if I know I have a book deadline and it's not on my calendar, probably not going to happen. So So we open up a writer's room 2 hours per week, so that you can come in and just write, or we can take you into a breakout room with myself or with Sally Larkin, who is the writing development, I don't know her official title, but she helps you develop your chapters. And you can get feedback and start to craft your story. I think that's one of the things that really just has tremendous value in regard to this project, because sometimes you think you're going to write and go in one direction, and as it starts to develop, you go in a completely different direction. And that's on purpose by mistake, by the way. It's just part of the process. Okay. You're going to get what you need to get, whether you know what that is or not, by being a part of this. The second thing I just mentioned briefly, Linda will talk about more, but Sally Larkin, she's again the director of like story development or something like that. So you'll have access to her. You'll have access to Linda as well. You're going to have opportunities to be a guest on my podcast, Living Room Wisdom, as well as Linda's podcast. But Linda's so good at what she does. She also has for her authors like a call board, essentially, for people who are looking for guests for their podcasts. So the visibility will be through the roof. We're going to do a writing retreat, which will be optional. So I'll give you a precursor that we have 2 packages for this book project. One of them includes the retreat, one does not. Now, if you choose the package that does not include the retreat, but you later decide you want to come, you get to come. You just haven't committed up front. Okay, so we can have that conversation. And then lastly, but not lastly, because I'm always adding shit on, anyone who knows me knows I just, once I get in the spirit of everything, stop laughing at me, Pamela. Once I get in the spirit of everything, I like nice things. I'm an experienced girl, and I'm like, oh, we should do this, and oh, we should do that. And so there's many other things that end up happening through this process that will be a surprise. But what I will commit to right now is we're going to have another book launch party. We're going to do an online version like we did last year, where we spend a week interviewing our authors and like putting it all out there and building up the excitement. But we'll also do an in-person book launch, very likely here in California, because that's where I live. Haha, and everybody wants to come to California. And then one of the things that I think we'll decide collectively is whether or not to do a book tour. So last year we had quite a few people who lived out of state who weren't in California, and we could have easily done book tour, right? Gone to their cities and brought the book party there. But that didn't end up happening. So it really just depends on who decides to say yes to moving forward with us. But this is a collaboration. This is a collective. And so any ideas you have that you want to offer I'm open. I am open. I am open to making this absolutely the best experience for you, for the readers, for myself, and everyone involved. So with that said, I'd love to call up Miss Sylvia for a 2-minute share, because she's one of my star students. Like, actually, she's not my student at all. She was quite the pro before we even started working together. So Sylvia, and again, with the awareness of time, 2 minutes, share a little bit about yourself and your experience with the book. And obviously, you're a neuroplastician, so give a brief little introduction to that as well.
And I don't have set my timer. You have my permission to interrupt me. Don't take that personal, because I can talk for hours about our fabulous book, and being a published author now in my 23rd year in Germany and in the United States, and having worked with over a dozen publishers, I can talk literally also about the process and what makes Linda and Action Takers Publishing so unique for hours. So you interrupt me. So I think the key word why I'm here, I mean, I offer to just show up and support. I will not be in the next book because I'm just over full with projects. But I want to support this book because of very specific distinctions why you, Patrina, and also you, Linda, are different. And you already mentioned that word, Patrina, a few times. And for me, that's the word access. Most publishing anthology, and anthology means books where multiple authors are in, for those who don't know the distinction between a solo book where it's one author writing one book, and this is a community of authors, an anthology. Most publishers where I was an author contributing to an anthology, there was no access. The publisher was completely hidden, some kind of CEO somewhere in their castle. And also, there was no person like Patrina, who is the bridge between the publisher and the author community, who has a framework, who ties the book, the chapters together. I mean, my chapters are all brilliant, just to say it, but I am in 3 books I never promote because I'm so embarrassed about the bad quality of the book. Seriously, I use my chapter in other places, but not the book because the publisher didn't care like Linda does. The publisher never showed up. They didn't vet all the other authors like you, Patrina, does. Yeah, they were just a mix of people who were willing to pay, but there was no community. They were not aligned. And Patrina, there was no framework like yours. So there is no red thread. So as a reader, I'm a book nerd. I eat books for breakfast. I have a huge library here at home, which you, Patrina, have already sit in. You, Linda, you have to visit me to do that too. As a reader, anthologies where each chapter hangs like in the air without any red thread, overarching methods or framework and connection with the others. That's just a neglected, badly thrown together of mishmash of bad writing from women who just had the money to join. Awful. So this is why I'm here, because you, Patrina, and you, Linda, you ensure that this book will be top quality for the reader to enjoy it and learn and transform their lives. And you create community and you support the business of the authors through your podcast, your parties, your networking. I mean, Patrina, what I got personally out of being in your book is the community, the friendships, the collaboration. A third of the authors from this book are now my girlfriends, and we are still in connection. And that's just priceless, especially in a world where disconnection and virtuality and fakeness become the new norm. So
Yeah.
I think that was already more than 2 minutes.
I appreciate you. No, that was very concise and it was beautiful, and we totally appreciate you. Before you go, just give a little blurb about what you do, just real quick, so people know.
And you know how challenging that is for me to say because I'm a multi-potentialite. In the moment, I focus on, and I'm not saying yet the company, but I'm in the process of signing a major contract for being with a company. I know I start differently. When I saw Madonna a few years ago on a big stage, I had my highlight aha where I realized I want to be like Madonna. I'm a Madonna. I don't want to do the sales, the marketing, the administration. I just want to show up. Madonna doesn't sell her tickets and doesn't arrange the chairs in her room. So I'm in the process after 10 years looking for the partner to probably have the right partner where I will be on stage and create deep transformational, voice liberating, creative workshops for women to be rock stars on stage, sharing their messages with the world. And I don't do any sales, marketing, and administration. I just show up and train. So watch out. I hope in a month it will be all, there's trademarks involved and contracts. But this is where my business is transitioning into. So a mix of Mel Robbins, Brene Brown, and Oprah. If you mix these
I love it.
together, that is
We're gonna have you on my next season of my podcast. So look out for Miss Sylvia, and we'll be obviously sharing on our platforms anything she's doing as well. She mentioned it briefly, but one of the last things I want to say before I hand it over to Linda is that there's a ton of collaboration that comes through being a part of this community as well. Collaboration with me on some things, collaboration between the co-authors as well. So with that said, I'm trusting that if you're here in this room, that you're already a sacred yes, that your soul is screaming for this and knows that this is the right thing, and that we're just going to be able to answer some of your additional questions. So Linda, I'd love to invite you onto this beautiful screen with me. Join me, darling. Join me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I saw the chats going on there. I saw the head nods and all this stuff. So thank you for participating, for those of you who are live and those who are watching the replay. You know, really, we're hoping that this is resonating with you. If you've made it this far, then you've made it through the interesting part, because I come in and I talk about the boring part, the publishing side. So maybe it's not boring for me, but it might be boring for you. But listen up. This is where we're going to talk about the details of where to go with this. So Patrina, I'm going to take you off the stage and I'm going to share my screen. But before I share my screen, I'm going to drop in the chat so you can follow along if you'd like, a link to the page that takes you to the application. So as Patrina mentioned, this is very particular. She wants to make sure that every single author is handpicked. And because of that, you do need to apply, get on a call with her. She can get to know you to see where you would fit in the book. Like Sylvia shared, you know, it's very structured. So you want to make sure that you fit in a certain space in the book. And so I dropped a link. It's actiontakerspublishing.com/abundance. And this will take you to the page that has the information about this book, as well as the application. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm not going to walk through the whole entire page, but I want to take you to the places that would be like probably of most interest, is like, what am I getting out of this? Like Patrina mentioned, but also, you know, how are you going to participate in this book? Again, the title of this book is Anatomy of Abundance, The Evolution of Women Who Refuse to Settle. If that right there, that title resonates with you, you're probably a great fit for this book, but definitely get on that call with Patrina to make sure that it is a fit for you, as well as you're a fit for the book. So it does talk here on this page a little bit about Anatomy of Abundance. Patrina went over the archetypes, so you have some examples of archetypes. Here's some other ones that she didn't mention every single one. So if you go on the page, you will see all this information on there. You know, go over there, check it out, see what it's all about. So this, I just wanted to share with you, this is a picture of the author's, retreat that was held in 2023 for the volume 1 of the Anatomy of Abundance book. We also did a book launch. It was a lot of fun, just, bringing everybody together, bringing our communities together to learn about the other authors, the authors sharing their communities. So it really is a huge collaboration effect that goes into place. So if you're looking for, that community of people who get you, this is definitely a collaborative book, is a great way to find those people. Just a short video you can watch that shows a little bit about the, I believe that was the book launch. And then, here's about the book. It talks a little bit about that, as well as the benefits of participating. And this is what I wanted to get to right here, is what you're going to get by being a part of this collaborative book. Not all collaborative books are created equally. Some people do call them anthology. I like to call them collaborative books because it is about us coming together to collaborate in one themed book. And so, as Patrina mentioned, there will be an in-person book signing event. Not all collaborative books do this. So this is really a great opportunity, as she mentioned earlier, to be able to come together with your fellow authors and really get to know each other better. One thing that she hadn't mentioned was that we do an Audible book. And so, putting it together, you'll have an opportunity to have yourself professionally recorded, get your voice out there, and then we turn it into an Audible book as well. You will become a best-selling author. 95% of our books are #1 international best-selling books. There are just a couple of them that did not make international because they don't have an international audience. And so you will become a best-selling author. That is guaranteed. You'll have the like-minded authors to collaborate with. This particular book will have 12 to 15 authors maximum. I think Patrina is thinking of keeping it at just 12. We already have 1 chapter sold, so got 11 left. So if you're thinking about it, now is definitely the time to hop on that call with Patrina. Your chapter will be up to 4,000 words. You'll also get, in addition to that, a 225-word bio. You'll get 5 paperback copies of the book, and then marketing materials will be included. At the beginning of this video, I shared just a short video that I created that had some of the marketing materials that we put together. And so those will all be created for you, as well as content. So literally, we make it easy for you to copy and paste, make it very easy for you to get the message out there. You'll also be able to hop on a 30-minute one-on-one book marketing strategy call with me. I do the marketing in our company. And then also, as Patrina mentioned, Sally Larkin Green, she is our VP of Author Development. She's always available to hop on one-on-one calls with people, but she'll also be on a lot of those calls with Patrina when, there's multiple people there. So it's really whatever works best for you. And then you'll have an interview opportunity with me at Action Takers Publishing. And Patrina, I do need to add your podcast interview up here. So we'll get that information up there as well. And then you'll becoming a best-selling author in this book, this collaborative book with Patrina, which is always an amazing, any of you who don't know Patrina, you have yet to learn how amazing she is. But those of you who do know, you do know what it's like to be in her space. And then that was the package for the author package. If that interests you, you would click here to apply for that. And then the retreat package, this one is everything that you get in the author package, including a retreat. So it is an exclusive author's retreat where we get together, start writing. There's all kinds of stuff happening. It all depends on what's going on with the book, with the different authors as to exactly what's going to happen. But you're going to be able to have this opportunity to talk about your story, your message, really get honed in on it. Patrina's going to help you out. The other authors will help you out. It's really a great opportunity to get to know each other even better. So you would click here.
It's a great opportunity. I didn't want to interrupt, but it's a great opportunity also to bring completion to your chapter. So last year when we arrived at the retreat, everybody's chapters were quote unquote done. There was a draft or 2 or 3 that were done. And what it did is you got to hear the other authors' chapters and how they string together, and you can make little final edits. And then on Sunday, the Sunday of the retreat, the last day, we all push the button together to submit our chapter. So that's kind of how that works. It's a collective energy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it doesn't create any stress on our side to receive all the chapters at one time at all. I'm just kidding. And so then the retreat venue is the what's it called? The Seabird Resort in Oceanside, California. So here's some pictures of it. You'll be able to see those on the website. And then here's just some shots of a couple of the people coming in. There's Sylvia there coming in to record their audio. It is in a professional studio, so you have that professional studio quality. And then if you have any questions for me,
you can do it virtually as well. Sorry, you can do it virtually as well if you don't want to come to California to record.
There you go. Yeah, you can do it virtually as well. If you have any questions related to the publishing process, you can make an appointment with me, or again, click this link here to connect with Patrina. And this right here is the last call that we had. We have that up here, for volume 1. So you can watch that one if you'd like, as well as this one here today. So I'm going to stop my screen share. Again, just go to actiontakerspublishing.com/abundance. And so I'm going to bring Patrina back up and just share that. So behind the scenes, what's happening is you're writing your chapter, you're getting all that together. When you're done, you submit your chapter. It comes through a form that we have. You fill out that form. We get your chapter, and then we do the proofreading and editing stage on that. And then we go back and forth with you on your chapter until you are ecstatic with it. So we do not want to publish anybody's chapter that they have not approved, because we want to make sure we have that positive experience, that positive energy in that chapter. I have read some anthology books where the chapters didn't seem to be proofread very well. And so it really does kind of minimize the experience. We want to make sure that you absolutely love what we've published, and that you want to, like Sylvia said, she doesn't advertise all the books she's been in because she's very particular about the quality of work that she's sharing. So I just want to share with you that you are in good hands with us, and you'll be really happy with the results there. So Patrina, I'm going to send it back on over to you. Do you have anything else you want to share, or any questions? Anybody?
So as we're wrapping up our incredible time together here, I just want to share with you the timeline that I am looking at. And I want to invite you to invite other people. If you know other badass women that need to be a part of this project, please share it with them, right? Bring them along on the journey. Yeah. So the timeline is that I'll continue to put out promotion and marketing and look to attract more authors between now and the end of the month. The latest that I'll be closing registration will be kind of early mid-August. That's kind of the cutoff point that I'm looking at. Obviously, there are people sometimes who come in at the last minute who are perfect, and we may or may not accept them, but I'm looking at early to mid-August latest to close enrollment. Second part of that is that I want us to start writing officially in September. So if you come in before September, you have time to get started. We can have some one-on-one calls, start to develop your chapter, especially if you're a first-time author, you may want more time, right? And so the sooner the better, but our official start date for writing will be September. We want to submit our chapters in October, pretty much the same timeline we had last time, Linda. Submit our chapters in October. Whether or not we do mid or end of the month will be dependent on how soon we get the authors in. And then January is what I'm looking at for launch date again. I think we did January 11th on the last one. It was a very significant date, numerology wise, planetarily, energetically. It was just powerful. And so we're going to find the best launch date again, but it will be in January because I just feel like the energy is up and people are looking for transformation and they're feeling fresh and starting off their new year. And we want to give them a guide, right? A companion to do it with. So with that said, I think that's everything. Like I asked Spirit before getting on the call, like download what to say, who to say, speak to their hearts, like, and so I feel like I'm pretty complete and looking forward to having individual conversations with each and every one of you.
Yeah, if you have any questions for us right now, you can ask them, or when you
Yes.
hop on the call with Katrina,
You
you
can
can ask
unmute.
her at
You
that
can
time.
unmute
Yeah, you
and
can
ask
unmute and speak
any
if you want.
pressing questions. Yes.
And if no questions, we can just end the call for today. And, you know, if it's right for you, you will know. And that's the thing that, you know, we're all guided by what we feel is right for us. And sometimes there might be hesitation, is like, maybe I don't know what to share, but don't let that stop you from at least hopping on that call with Katrina, because she can help you to decide what to share, what makes the most sense. Maybe you haven't written before and you're thinking that I don't know where to start. Don't worry. We've got you. We've got your back. We've published over 500 authors so far in the last less than 4 years. And so we know what we're doing. We have the system down. We can help you through every single step of the way. So don't let that be the reason to not at least explore a little bit more and find out what it's about. I highly recommend, if nothing else, just hop on that call with Katrina to make sure, again, that it's a fit for you and that you're a fit for it, because this is one of those, it's not like Sylvia mentioned, it's not like if you got the money, you're in. It's not like that. It's like your message has to align with it, and it has to align with your message as well. So this is definitely a synergy that takes place with this book. So you hop on that call with Katrina again at actiontakerspublishing.com/abundance and hop on that call with her.
Yep. And I'll get you all out an email. Those of you who attended live or who registered even and didn't make it live, I'll send an email with the link to the replay and we'll go from there. All the links will be there. So
awesome. Awesome. Well,
yay.
thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to stop the recording and thanks for being here, and you jump in and see if it's a fit for you.